The movie kicks off with a violent storm. A man named Greg is rushing his pregnant wife Anna to the hospital. She's just been struck by lightning. The doctors work frantically, but the news that comes back is devastating. Anna didn't make it. Greg steadies himself and asks the only question left that matters. Did his son survive? The baby did. But when Greg walks into the maternity ward and sees that child, a tiny, premature boy with no pigmentation whatsoever, skin so pale it looks almost translucent, not a single hair on his body, something in him shuts down completely. He starts crying. He refuses to accept that this child is his son, and just like that, he walks away. A father abandoning his child before the boy even has a name. The boy grows up on a quiet farm under the care of his grandparents. No school, no friends, no television, because electronic devices simply don't function properly around him. His entire world is the basement of that farmhouse and the hundreds of books stacked inside it. Every page of every one of them memorized. That is his life. Then his grandfather dies suddenly, collapses while making coffee one morning and never gets back up. When the police arrive to investigate, they discover something unexpected, a teenager hiding inside the house. Detective Doug Barnum calls in Jesse Caldwell, director of the local orphanage, to help. Doug's working theory is simple. The boy was kept hidden in that basement because he looked different and his family didn't want the world to see him. When Jeremy finally speaks to them, he's calm and quiet. He tells them his grandfather was making coffee when he fell. When they ask his name, he says Jeremy Reed, but his grandparents had another name for him. They called him Powder. He tells Jesse he prefers the basement because sunlight hurts his eyes. Jesse listens carefully and something clicks in her mind. This young man is not what anyone expected. She decides to take him to the orphanage. He has no one left. The orphanage is exactly as welcoming as you'd expect. The moment Jeremy walks through those doors, he becomes the center of every joke and every stare. At lunch on his first day, he sits alone, and that's when Johnny and his gang descend. They try to rope him into an initiation ritual, ordering him to spend the day walking around with a spoon stuck up his nose. Jeremy doesn't argue. He doesn't panic. He simply picks up the spoon and runs his thumb along it slowly. The spoon stands upright on its own. Then it becomes a magnet, pulling every metal object on the table toward it, forks and knives rising into the air and stacking themselves into a tower of cutlery. The entire cafeteria goes dead silent. Johnny and his crew take a step back. Whatever they expected from the new kid, it wasn't this. Jesse takes Jeremy to see Dr. Dwayne for a checkup. The verdict? Despite everything about him that defies explanation, Jeremy is in perfect physical health. His contact lenses will arrive soon. Once he has them, he'll be able to walk in sunlight without his thick glasses, and his eyes will look like anyone else's. Small mercy. Because Jeremy is intellectually far ahead of anything the orphanage school can offer, Jesse decides to enroll him in a school for gifted students instead, and that's where things get interesting. In science class, the teacher fires up a high-voltage electrical source to demonstrate how electricity moves. The moment those bright arcing rays appear, Jeremy freezes. His body starts trembling. His classmate Lindsay notices immediately and moves toward him to help. But before anyone can react, Jeremy's body pulls the electrical current toward him like a magnet. He gets electrocuted and loses consciousness. What happens next stops everyone in the room cold. His body begins to float. His terrified teacher destroys the high-voltage source to cut the current. Jeremy drops. Teacher Donald Ripley rushes to him, and when he touches Jeremy to wake him, every single hair on his body stands on end from the static pouring off the unconscious boy. At the hospital, Dr. Dwayne examines Jeremy thoroughly and comes back with a finding that makes no scientific sense. There are absolutely no injuries on his body. No burns, no trauma, no indication whatsoever that he was electrocuted. Donald is baffled. He tells the doctor flatly that what he witnessed was impossible by every known law of physics, and that it is a miracle anyone in that classroom survived. While Doug speaks with the teachers about Jeremy's condition, the boy quietly slips out of the hospital room and disappears. He walks back toward the farm, the only place that ever felt like home. On the way, he passes through the neighborhood where Lindsay lives. Her dog Zach spots him and charges at the fence, barking furiously, but Jeremy walks straight up to the fence without fear and reaches out to pet him. The dog calms immediately. Lindsay sees this from her window and comes out. She's relieved he's okay, but as they talk, Jeremy looks around and notices all the neighbors watching him from their yards and windows, staring. He gets quiet, and then he says something that makes Lindsay pause. He tells her he can hear people's thoughts and feelings, that he has access to their memories. Lindsay looks at him with genuine concern, wondering if he's feeling all right. Jeremy realizes he's said too much. He says goodbye and keeps walking. The town sheriff finds him crossing the train tracks not long after and convinces him to get in the car. On the ride back, Jeremy tells Doug something heavy. The worst day of his life wasn't anything that happened at the orphanage or the school. It was the day he was born, the day his father stood in that maternity ward, looked at him, and walked away. The next day, Jesse takes Jeremy to sit an IQ assessment. The teachers gather to discuss the results, including Aaron and Donald. Aaron couldn't believe Jesse's claim that everything Jeremy knew came entirely from books since he'd never left the farm and couldn't watch television because electronics failed around him. Then Donald presents the results. Aaron stops him. Genius isn't the right word. There is no classification for what the test showed. Jeremy's score was so high it went completely off the scale. Every indicator points to the same conclusion. Jeremy Reed has the most advanced intellect in recorded human history. Jesse turns to Jeremy and tells him they are all there to help him. Jeremy's response is simple. He asks to go home. Jesse tells him gently that the farm is up for sale, that most of it belongs to the bank, that there is no home to go back to. The lights in the room start to flicker. Everyone glances at their watches. The devices have stopped working. The flickering intensifies until the electricity cuts out entirely. Jeremy gets up and walks out to catch the school bus back to the orphanage alone. That weekend, the kids from the shelter head out for a camping trip. Jeremy does what he always does, separates from the group and sits alone. Doug finds him sitting on a log and settles in beside him. Jeremy opens up a little, tells the sheriff that whenever a storm is brewing, he can feel it, like he's part of it, like he's a lightning rod. Every time he sees lightning come down from the sky, he gets the feeling it's heading straight for him. He tells Doug his grandmother used to say that lightning was a manifestation of God, and he wonders, why did God take his mother the night he was born? When Doug asks how he even knows what happened to his mother, Jeremy says quietly that he remembers everything, even things that happened before he was born. The next morning, Jeremy wakes before anyone else and wanders into the forest alone. He crouches down and touches the ground, and lizards emerge from the leaves and walk right over to him, one of them climbing onto his hand. For a moment, it's just him and the forest and the quiet. Then Johnny and his friend Mitch appear through the trees. The animals scatter. Johnny has a rifle, and the moment he spots Jeremy alone, he points it at him and threatens to pull the trigger. Mitch tries to talk him down, but Johnny doesn't listen. He's a breath away from firing. A gunshot rings out from the direction of the lake. Everyone runs toward it. At the lake, Deputy Harley Duncan has just shot a deer. The animal lies on the ground, sides rising and falling, eyes wide and terrified, dying slowly. Jeremy pushes through and drops to his knees beside it. He places his hand on the deer, and when Harley reaches down to pull him away, Jeremy grabs the deputy's fist. Harley hits the ground writhing and screaming. The boys think he's having a seizure and back away in horror. Johnny sees his opening and raises the rifle at Jeremy again, but Mitch shoves the barrel upward at the moment of the shot. The blast goes wide. The noise startles Jeremy and he releases his grip on Harley. The deputy staggers to his feet and is helped away by the group. Jeremy stays behind and mourns the deer alone. Back at the orphanage, Jeremy is called to the principal's office. Doug wants answers. Harley was just airlifted to hospital with a suspected heart attack. Jeremy explains it simply. The deputy didn't understand the harm he was causing, so Jeremy helped him see it. He let him feel exactly what the deer was feeling. Doug stares at him and leaves the room without a word. Jessie stays behind. Jeremy looks at her and says what he's been holding in. He can't stay there anymore. The people in that place do and think horrible things, and because of his empathy, he feels all of it, constantly, like a current running through him that never switches off. He tells Jessie she's only pretending to be his friend, because a real friend doesn't hold someone against their will. Every glass surface in the room shatters. Every light bulb bursts. Across town, Doug arrives home to find Dr. Dwayne checking on his wife Emma, bedridden and unconscious for months, being kept alive by a body that refuses to let go. The doctor gently suggests moving her to the hospital. Doug refuses. If Emma were conscious, she would want to spend her final days at home. He knows that much. That night in the empty orphanage cafeteria, Donald finds Jeremy sitting alone with his thoughts. The teacher sits across from him and shares something personal. Ever since Jeremy touched him after the electrocution incident, Donald has felt different, energized, sharper, like he's 18 again. He brings up Albert Einstein, tells Jeremy that Einstein believed energy never dies, it simply changes form, that if a human being were ever able to use 100% of their brain, they would transcend the physical body entirely and become pure energy. Donald believes that what happened to Jeremy's mother, that lightning strike before his birth, brought Jeremy closer to that level than any human being has ever been. He also tells Jeremy he understands now why the basement felt like home, because until he came to that orphanage, Jeremy had never encountered human evil. Everything he knew about the world came from books. He had yet to experience what people were actually capable of. Donald reaches out and shakes Jeremy's hand. The hairs on his arm stand straight up. And then he does something remarkable. He touches Jeremy's face. Gently, Jeremy goes very still. He lies down and lets Donald rest a hand on his head. The first time in his life anyone has ever caressed him. His own grandparents were too afraid to touch him. A few days later, Doug visits Harley and finds that the deputy has gotten rid of every weapon he owns. Every single one. Harley tells him what happened at the lake, how Jeremy's touch transferred the deer's terror directly into his body, how he felt the animal's life leaving it, how it was the worst thing he has ever experienced, as if he himself were dying. He says he will never take an innocent life again. Doug drives straight to Jeremy. After getting Jesse's permission, he takes the young man to his house and leads him to Emma's room. Jeremy approaches her, touches her head gently, and goes quiet. Then he speaks. He tells Doug that what is keeping Emma in that body is fear. She doesn't want to leave her husband alone. She cannot go until she knows that Doug and their son Steven will be all right. The two of them haven't spoken in years. Only the family's closest people know that. Then Jeremy recounts a specific memory from Steven's childhood, in precise detail. Doug's face changes completely. Emma opens her eyes. Just for a few seconds, enough for Doug to say goodbye. Then she is gone. Steven drives to the house as soon as he hears. He and his father embrace for the first time in years. That weekend, Lindsay invites Jeremy to the park. She asks him what people are really like on the inside. Jeremy tells her that most humans feel separated from nature, but they're not. They are part of everything, part of everyone. Lindsay says she doesn't understand. Jeremy tells her that's because there's a limit the human body can't cross on its own. It's what stops people from realizing that every living thing on this planet is connected. To prove it, he takes her hand. In that moment, they both feel it, each other's deepest memories and emotions flooding in simultaneously. Lindsay feels the full weight of the day Jeremy's father abandoned him, the loneliness that never left. She pulls back with tears in her eyes and tells him something that nobody has ever told him before, that she thinks he is the most beautiful person she has ever seen. She kisses him, then her father appears out of nowhere, shouting. He grabs Jeremy, and Jesse has to rush over and physically intervene. Before the man storms off, he turns back and warns Jesse to keep that freak away from his daughter, or he will sue the orphanage into the ground. Jeremy goes back and starts packing his bags. He is done. He cannot take any more of the hatred in this town. But before he can leave, he walks through the basketball court, and Johnny appears again, steals his hat, gets in his face, dares him to take it back. Jeremy reaches out and touches him, and just like that, he is inside one of Johnny's most buried memories, a child being beaten by his stepfather, the same cruel words repeated over and over. Jeremy describes it out loud, calmly and precisely. Johnny's face crumbles and then hardens into rage. He calls his crew over. They drag Jeremy off the court, strip him and push him into a mud puddle. He gets up, and the metal accessories on every one of them start bending toward him. Lightning cracks down into the puddle, and the shockwave sends everyone flying. Jeremy falls back into the mud. When the dust settles, Johnny is on the ground and not moving. His friends gather around him. His heart has stopped. Jeremy pulls himself up, walks over and presses his hands to Johnny's chest. His body becomes a defibrillator. One charge. Johnny gasps and opens his eyes. As a quiet thank you, Mitch arranges a ride to get Jeremy back to the farm. When Jeremy arrives at the farmhouse, the first thing he does is go to the basement, his basement. The place where he spent every year of his childhood surrounded by books. The books are gone, all of them, cleared out by the bank. Jessie arrives and finds him there in the empty room. She crouches beside him and tells him the truth she has known since the moment she found him, that from the very first day she saw him, she knew the world was not ready for someone like him, but she promises him that if he trusts her, she will help him find a place where he can be genuinely happy, where he is loved. Jeremy hugs her. Donald appears to walk them to the car, but outside, Doug and Harley are waiting. The law is the law, and Jeremy has to go back to the orphanage. Doug looks at Jeremy's face, and something shifts in him. He pulls Donald aside and realizes these two are not planning to take the boy back. They want to give him a new life. Doug makes a decision. He tells Harley to head home. Harley refuses. He reaches for his radio to call it in. Doug takes it from his hands. Donald helps him destroy it. Jeremy says goodbye and runs across the open lawn. Harley gives chase but can't close the distance. The sky above darkens. A storm is rolling in fast. Lightning finds him in the field. It strikes Jeremy directly, but he keeps running. And then all the energy that has been building inside him since before he was born, every volt that was passed into him through his mother on that stormy night decades ago, releases at once and returns to the world it came from. His physical body comes apart in a blinding explosion of light. The shockwave hits Jesse, Donald, Doug, and Harley where they stand. Each of them staggers. Each of them feels something pass through them, warm and electric and unmistakably alive. A presence, one final goodbye. When the light fades, Jeremy is gone. Doug stands in the empty field and understands. Just like Emma, the boy didn't die. He simply left this place for somewhere far better. Somewhere the world's cruelty and fear and smallness cannot reach him. A boy who was abandoned before he drew his first breath, who spent his entire childhood alone in a basement, who felt every human emotion like a live wire pressed against his skin, and still used that gift to help the people around him every single time. The world wasn't ready for Powder. Maybe it never will be. With this, Friends the movie comes to an end.